So we finally have a Paul Mescal film on the list. I'm surprised it took this long, but it definitely won't be the last movie. I am sad to report though that this movie Foe, it's not great. It has a really intriguing premise and the opening scenes really got me hooked, but the only thing that kept me watching was just wanting to get to the reveal. And even then, by the time I got to the good final 20 minutes or so, I'd already checked out. I heard that this movie was based on a book and it's very short. It's a novella at about 130 pages, but it was really good. So while I wouldn't really recommend the movie, definitely read the book. It'll be faster too. Anyway, this summary is going to be a bit of a hybrid. I'll be talking about the movie and I'll also add some bits from the book, but all in all, it's kind of boring, so fair warning. The movie is set at a time where, due to climate change, natural resources like water are precious commodities, cities are overpopulated, and humanity is looking to build settlements elsewhere in space as Earth becomes more inhospitable. A woman named Hen is crying in the shower because she feels that not only is her marriage an unhappy one, she feels trapped in it and she's losing parts of who she is and her potential. That evening, a man named Junior, her husband, wakes up on the couch. It looks like he just fell asleep there, not that that's where he sleeps. Anyway, it's the headlights of a car driving onto the property that wake him up. Hen comes down then and they can't remember the last time they had a visitor. The person at the door knows the couple's names, Henrietta, Hen, and Junior. They're both suspicious at first, but they eventually open their door to a man named Terrence who says that he's there on behalf of a company called Outermore. The organization works on off-Earth migration, so living in space. The book is from Junior's point of view, and obviously because I'd seen the movie, I was able to find some clues really early on. Junior points out that Terrence looks at him with a little too much interest, as though he likes what he sees, and he makes this comment, "You look great. This is very exciting. It's thrilling to finally see you like this." Terrence gives his elevator pitch then. The company has their own space station and they're starting with some temporary resettlements. Hen is skeptical and she wonders why they don't just fix things here on Earth, and Terrence asks her then to go get a glass of water, a nonsense errand because he seems to want to talk to Junior alone. He and Junior talk about what it used to be like around those parts where the farm is. There were actual farms at some point with animals, and Junior remembers them from when he was a kid. Corporations, though, bought a lot of the land and burned everything to make space for their hybrid products. It's pretty clear when you watch the movie that Terrence is too comfortable being in the couple's house. He's a guest who has just arrived and met them, and yet, as Junior points out in the book, it's as though he's been here, sitting on their couch hundreds of times. Junior is very unsettled by this, and he says at one point that there's just something disingenuous about Terrence, an air of secrecy. Terrence tells the couple that they've won a lottery and that Junior has made the shortlist to live in space. Junior laughs in his face. He doesn't feel suited for this and he doesn't want to leave the farm, but things turn serious when Terrence reminds him of the old days about how young men were conscripted in the war. His demeanor is still polite, he's laughing, but you can sense the threat from Terrence. Junior doesn't really have a choice here. He obviously doesn't want to go, but Hen reminds him that they could lose the farm. Terrence says that the couple could be part of something special and unique, but for now, they just need to go on as normal because Junior won't be called to leave for a few years. Terrence's character is equally as evasive in the movie as he is in the book, and he says a lot of words, but Junior takes a while to properly understand exactly what is being asked of him. This installation project, which Terrence says is a temporary resettlement, this seems to be a group of laborers or guinea pigs who won't actually be guaranteed a place to live there, not at first anyway. And if Junior goes, he'll be there for a few years and then he would be allowed to return back to Earth. Terrence also reveals that they've been listening in on the couple and will do even more so now that Junior has been chosen. In the book, Hen barely says anything throughout this entire first meeting. She's unusually quiet and she often avoids even looking at Junior. He's very confused at her seeming lack of emotion as all of this is being revealed. After Terrence leaves, Junior goes to the bedroom. He wants to talk to Hen about what just happened, but Hen doesn't. She asks him if he can sleep in the guest room because she doesn't feel well and she doesn't want him to catch anything if she is sick. In the book, Junior points out that he's never slept in the bedroom before, and Hen says that she knows that this is different, but it's only for tonight. In the end, Junior goes to the spare room, and when he gets there, he hears that Hen has locked the door of their bedroom. Terrence's arrival does set something in motion for the couple. For Hen, it's because, well, she knows, and she'll be losing her husband for a few years, and Junior, because he's counting down to when he has to leave, but he hides the worst of his distress to protect Hen. He decides to focus on what he can control, which is the present, even though he does feel changed. The two still work, she in a diner, really in the middle of nowhere, and he works in a chicken slaughterhouse, a poultry farm. On their property, there's also one remaining living tree that Hen waters, and they live a fairly isolated but peaceful looking life. In the book, we get a description of their lives shortly following Terrence's visit. Hen suddenly needs time to be alone. She suddenly wants to sleep alone and she doesn't talk much. This goes on for weeks, months even, this distance, but over time she slowly begins to get comfortable again and she comes back to being the Hen that Junior knew. Rather than be distant and quiet in the movie, however, the couple is more bitter and annoyed, combative with one another, but we also see them eventually reconnect in this beautiful scene with them sitting out in their yard one afternoon. Junior points out that Hen is wearing the t-shirt that she wore the day they first met, and they were happy then. It's the first time you feel them start to be at ease with each other, and it feels like the start of something new. Later, she goes to him in his bed in the spare room and she tells him that she missed him and they have sex. They end up rekindling something in their marriage. They lay in bed the next morning and talk in a way that they haven't before, at least not recently. Hen even starts playing the piano again. A year later, or two in the book, Terrence returns. This time, Hen is different. She stays close to Junior, she holds his hand, she's present, she even squeezes his leg to comfort him. As usual, Terrence's presence is vaguely threatening. In the book, Terrence asks Junior if he ever thinks back on his life before Hen, and we get a pretty great passage from him. It's only been recently that I realize whenever I think about the past, I feel a heightened sense of oblivion. I can't go back. I can't think about those years at all. I can only go forward. I endured the passage of lonely days indifferently. Hen changed that. She gave me a purpose, a reason to exist. Junior is pretty devoted to Hen. So Terrence just keeps coming back to share distressing news with the couple, keeps them on edge about the status of Junior's deployment. During one of these visits, he asks to talk to Hen while Junior goes out and does some work in the barn. Junior sees them from a distance, though. He spies on them through a kitchen window, and at one point, it looks as though Hen is very comfortable talking to Terrence. She's upset about something, and he's motioning for her to sit down. Junior finds their interactions odd, especially on her part, because the two have just met twice. What could have elicited such a strong emotion from her? Terrence talks with Junior then, and runs some tests. He takes some photos and measurements of Junior. He also observes Junior doing some tasks around the house. In the movie, Terrence says that he'll be staying at the house in the guest room to run more tests and do some more observations, and he tells Junior that he's set to deploy in a couple of weeks. Hen has a really difficult time dealing with Junior's imminent departure for space, and she starts pulling away again. She's also worried because she finds a bug in the room and she's afraid that there might be an infestation. The bug is a very important detail. More on that later. We find out then that Hen is for sure up to something, especially after an incident that causes Junior to injure his shoulder. Hen saw men tackle Junior to the ground before he lost consciousness, but she lies when he comes to and she tells him that he's imagining the men. Terrence also tells Junior that a doctor performed a mild procedure on his shoulder, his tendon, while he was out. The couple gets the news then that the company is going to replace Junior at the farm to make sure that Hen has company while he's away. But the thing is, it's not like they're giving Hen a farmhand or an assistant. No, they'll provide a biological replacement, a living tissue copy of Junior. This is why Terrence has to stay at the house and do all of his tests and observations. He continues shadowing Junior to make his copy, and he also tells Junior that Junior has to tell him every intimate detail of his marriage to ensure that the replacement is as real as possible. At one point, Junior is sat facing the wall when Terrence is asking these probing questions. It's very uncomfortable. So everything happening in this house reminds me of the frogs in water analogy, that if you put frogs in boiling water, they'll jump out, but if you put them in cold water and slowly heat the water over time, the frogs will eventually just boil to death. Terrence's arrival is always accompanied by some new and absurd proposition, but the couple are in such an unreal situation already. But the next step, as absurd as it seems at first, quickly becomes the new norm. Even though Junior does have a lot of questions, Terrence is so exhausting with his evasiveness and non-answers that the characters, well, Junior, is then distracted by something else and frustrated. At some point in the book, it seems as though Hen wants to save Junior from his fate. She knows something and she wants to tell him what's going on. She says says that she hasn't told him things that she should have. She hasn't said everything, and she has a bad feeling about what's happening. She's very conflicted though. She's on the brink of saying it, but she ends up deciding against revealing anything. Junior is growing increasingly more suspicious about Terrence's motives. He doesn't believe that Terrence is being honest, so he stops taking the pills that Terrence gives him, and he also drills a hole in the bathroom wall so that he can spy on Terrence's sessions with Hen. It's in one of these spy moments that he sees Terrence put his hand on Hen's knee, and this is where the big confrontation happens. Now, in the movie, the catalyst for this confrontation is Junior finding some Polaroids of Hen in Terrence's things. One of the photos is of Hen in the white t-shirt, the one that Junior loves. At some point, Junior also takes the bandages off of his injured shoulder, and he sees that there are no scars, no sign of the supposed procedure that was performed. Anyway, eventually we're at the climax of the movie, with Junior having been psychologically tortured to the point of near insanity, having to leave his home for many years to go off to space. Seeing Terrence already act like a replacement, and the very probing questions and physical examinations have been distressing. Terrence tells Junior not to worry, there will be no installation, at least not for him. Junior collapses then, and when he comes to, he's bound, his arms and ankles are chained. In the book, Junior tells Terrence that he knows that he's been lying this whole time. He knows that Terrence is the replacement. Hen is in the room while all of this plays out, and she just sits there saying nothing. She mouths a very weak "I'm sorry" to Junior, but he's confused as to why she's so unresponsive. Then Terrence drops the bombshell that Junior is the replacement, and the man next to him, who he brings in, is Hen's real husband. It's OG Junior. Of course, the two men, real Junior and replacement Junior, look identical. Terrence says that he's sorry for deceiving Junior, but he had to see this happen. He had to see the end. We learn then that the replacement was brought in over a year ago, the same day that Junior left for the installation. This replacement's mission started the night the car headlights turned on and woke him up on the couch. He was free to live that human relationship, and the company gave this replacement Junior's memories by talking to Junior for months before he left. The replacement's memories are actually Junior's. The reveal in the book is so much more devastating because we've been in Junior's head all this time in the first person, and having it suddenly revealed that you're not real is weird and kind of disorienting. We see through his eyes how the real Junior is to him the it, putting its arm around his wife, and how it looks at replacement Junior with some fascination and maybe even disgust. I mean, OG Junior looks unsettled by this copy of him. There are also other people in the room, business types in suits, who are observing the success of this project, and eventually, after much distress from Junior, some men in hazmat suits are brought in to switch him off, bag him up, and remove him. The major difference here between the book and the movie is that in the book, Hen has very little outward reaction. She keeps her composure, and she lets OG Junior put his arm around her. I mean, it is her husband. But in the movie, she's equally devastated as replacement Junior. She goes over to him and offers him some comforts, and she wants to stop what has been put in motion. She runs outside and she collapses on the ground. She has fallen in love with the replacement. So a question remains, how are things going to be with her husband who has just returned? Given that at the start of the movie, their marriage was looking pretty rocky. What does this all mean for the couple's marriage? So replacement Junior obviously gains some kind of sentience or independent thought from OG Junior. He loves Hen playing the piano, something that Junior didn't. They reconnected and talked in a way that they didn't before. And in the movie version, Junior expressed wanting to leave, wanting to get out of there with Hen, even though it might not have been realistic. He was a bit more of a romantic, a dreamer, and he was devoted to Hen. OG Junior, meanwhile, was adamant about staying at the farm, not having anything change. He was also steadfast in his belief that Hen would stay at the farm with him too. Anyway, this couple has a lot working against them, a marriage that was struggling to begin with, years apart, the replacement, and now having to readjust. Junior feels betrayed by Hen because he still thinks of his replacement as an it, and she sees it as a person. This is how she fell in love with Junior again. Back when Junior was gone, we saw that Hen and the replacement enjoyed time out in dying nature, being amazed at how they could find beauty on this dying planet. Now with OG Junior, when it starts raining, something that they've been waiting for a long time, Hen goes out. She's excited and she wants to share in her joy in the rain with Junior, who refuses. And as a result, in her frustration, she goes and she destroys the piano. The couple has a tense conversation about her life with the replacement, and Hen is sure that it cares prepared for her. She even refers to it as a him, something that annoys Junior, who refers to it as a monster. It disgusts him, and he asks in a very vulgar way if she had sex with it. One day, everything changes. In the book, Hen writes Junior's name on an envelope with a blank piece of paper inside, and she leaves for work. 8 hours later, she's back as though nothing has happened, and she seems to be her old self again. She's happy too. She's affectionate. Junior is happy to have his wife back again. Terrence also comes by to see the couple one last time, and all seems to be well. Back to that beetle though. This was quite different in the book and the movie, but I did really enjoy the book version. In the book, when Junior returns, he points out that there's a beetle in the house, and he wonders where that could have come from. Hen is so used to them by then that she tells him that she doesn't even notice them anymore. Later, Hen goes in the kitchen to grab a beer for Junior, and she sees a bug in there, and suddenly she's transfixed by seeing this, so much so that it distracts her and she's frozen in place because staring at it. Junior comes in after her and sees her frozen there, but he's not observant enough to notice that she'd said at some point before that she doesn't even notice the bugs because they're a regular occurrence at this point. This is a different hen. A replacement hen has been installed now as well. In the movie, the beetle scene is also really significant. It's just that Hen says that she's never seen the bug before. The final shot of the movie is of Hen on a plane, something that OG Junior always said that she was afraid of, and he was actually really condescending about it. So yeah, in both the book and the movie, Junior gets to stay on the farm, keep his life there with a replacement hen, and Hen finally gets her dream. It was something that she'd spoke about quite a bit throughout the book and the movie, of leaving the farm. And yeah, that is the movie.